all the things you do to put effort into your jobs, into your careers, into your children, your responsibilities, your appointments, all those things. Why not use those same skills and put a little bit of time investing into you? Hello there, and welcome to the Pat Podcast, episode 24, the Where in the World Have You Been edition. You may have wondered what has happened to me. Very kind of you to ask, but I've been busy. We've all been busy. Isn't that our fun word to use, is busy? Everybody's busy. Busy doing nothing, apparently. But I finally found some time. I'm in the midst of a great celebration called Palooza. What is Palooza, I hear you not asking? Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. Palooza was developed many, many years ago and was in many ways the birthright to the Jackass Express because for those of you that don't know, I'm Pat from the Jackass Express, also known as Celticorn, and I make videos for the Jackass Express brand through the name Celticorn. It's like being a clown that does circus tricks at the airport. No one paid him to do it, but he's still doing it. I already derailed myself. I have no idea what I was talking about. Palooza was the birthright of the Jackass Express. That's when, for a time, every year, I have my birthday on a certain day, and I essentially take the week off from work because it aligns so perfectly with some holidays like Memorial Day, and then I'm so lucky that my employer allows us to take a birthday off day, and then I do an additional thing for my place of employment that allows me to have an additional day off as a reward. So then I take those 3 days and I tack on 2 PTO days, and I have a full week off to myself to do whatever nerdy, dorky things that I want to do. Watch the shows you can't watch in front of the little ones. Listen to the music that you want on the stereo systems, however you wish. Pick up the office, change it a bit, still a mess. But the point is, I get to do something that allows me to feel like I'm on summer vacation again. 1 week out of the year. God bless our educators and our teachers and our coaches and all of them. You guys have summer vacation. And I'm sure even that feels too short for you all. And I feel very inspired by your work ethics. I myself, married to a teacher, nonstop work ethic. But thankfully, yes, she does get a summer vacation where I try to alleviate some of those things, and she's able to take some time for herself, which she's greatly earned. Let her take some time for herself. But Palooza, it's a statement of leave me alone. Patrick, that sounds terrible. That sounds absolutely terrible. Does it? Are there not times in our lives where we all kind of just need a little bit of time to be left alone? And I'm not talking about 20 minutes. I'm not talking about 30 minutes. At the very minimum, in my eyes, a day. What's a day? 8 hours. Kids still have to be set off to school. They still come home at a certain time. Life goes on, you continue. But those 8 hours between when the kids leave and they come back, isn't it something to look at them and say, these are mine? I mean, there's a peace in just that mentality because we give so much of our lives to our jobs, to helping out with family matters, rightfully so and gracefully so. But what about the time you take for yourself? Do you give it as much importance? Especially if you're a peacemaker. Peacemaker is like my wife, who I almost have to remind her to take time for herself because given the chance, she'll just stop everything to keep the peace and she'll keep going. She could be reading a book, watching a television show, listening to music, and then she'll stop because she feels like something has to be done. She's so antsy. The world's trained her to be busy. It's trained you to be busy, right? It's trained me to be busy. But then when we really do the things that make us happy during the times, we're busy. When do we get the chance to use the talents that God gave us to do what we want to do? Is that selfish? No, it's not selfish, but the world has trained us that it's selfish. If you're driving in a car right now, you're going to work right now, what's the main thing on your mind? Well, first, I'm crashing to the guy next to me because he's driving too close, The other thing is, I don't want to be late. Yes, promptness, the fruit of, preparedness, and that's wonderful. You're a darn fine employee and you should keep that up and don't ever take it for granted. But working within the rules, is there anything wrong with taking a day off? Now, I'm not saying Palooza, don't be crazy like me. I don't need the whole week. I want the whole week. Because I got to reset the head So imagine most people, I mean, if you could take a week off and not get fired, I highly recommend it. But not just that, making a plan for it. How many of us go into a day off, a Palooza, if you will, and there's no plan? Oh, I can't wait till I get my day off. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to do this, and this. But what ends up happening to the person who's been so jaded by responsibility up to that point? They stop, they look around and, oh, this house is kind of a mess. Well, the cat's kind of making some sounds. I better go check on him. Hope he didn't swallow a toothpick. And by the time you look up, 4 hours have gone. And that's where I feel like it's so important to have time to yourself, to plan. I don't know if you can hear my cat having a heart attack in the background, but I have a kitty now. I love him very much. He's the only one allowed at Patrick Palooza. The cat and God and Patrick, and that's it. It's important to take that time to yourself. And having a plan, I want to watch these shows. I want to eat this lunch. I want to order it at this time. All the things you do to put effort into your jobs, into your careers, into your children, your responsibilities, your appointments, all those things. Why not use those same skills and put a little bit of time investing into you? I want to get a massage. I want to watch some videos that teach me to do some stuff that I like to do. Video editing, gardening, cooking, whatever. But why don't you put that effort into the stuff that you like to do? And I mean real sincere effort. I mean going into it with a schedule almost. Now, I can't show you my schedule, but I keep it on my notes in my phone. And it's basically a bunch of the nerdiest shows you can possibly think of. Checking beforehand, did they actually come out? Or am I going to end up seeing any of these things because I just assume they're there, like Ghostbusters Frozen Kingdom. Probably dating this podcast right now by saying that, but I haven't seen it yet, so I want to see that. I want to see the last season of Red vs. Blue, so that's on there. I wanted to record a podcast, so here I am. And those things were done purposefully. And it's important to do that. I believe it is anyway. Another wonderful thing that's about this time of year is that, as I mentioned, it's during my birthday month, so I have officially turned 38. Oh, well, great job, Pat. You're pushing 40. You want a medal? Yes. Those that know me, and I wanted to share this story, might not know this, but I have a terrible fear of the number 38. You have fear of a number? Why? Patrick, of all the things you could be afraid of, monsters in the closet, in-laws, not really. Love my in-laws. They're terrific people. I just like to use that term. Why a number? And why a weird number? I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to guarantee you that after I tell you this, because it's happened to the people that I have in my personal life, I tell them and they tend to agree with me. So you're here to prove me wrong. The number 38, ever since I was a child, roughly about, I want to say past middle school. No, maybe high school. There was a number. And that number came about because there was this girl that I liked. And weirdo me at the time was like, oh, hey, what star signs are you? And it just came up in conversation that her favorite number was 3. I could have just asked her out on a date, but instead I asked her what her favorite number was. That's high school Patrick for you, and that's current Patrick. I hated that whole process until I met the one. Anyway, my favorite number was 8, so of course I romanticized this number 38. Never came to fruition because I was a clown, and I guess I always associated it with missed opportunity. Not regretted opportunity, missed opportunity. At the time, I didn't know what I was doing. But now, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I have more confidence in what I do want to do. Anyway, I see number 38 everywhere, my whole life. Ever since that time, 38. Like, I trained my brain not to see it anymore. I had to look for other numbers. 24, 97, 7. But for some reason, the number 38 always came up. Billboards, advertising a 38% discount. What? Who does a 38% discount? It's either 40%, 20%. 50, a round number, but no, someone has to put 38%. And then you have, I'll watch television, and there'll be a sports game on for all of those of you who love the sports games. And I'm not criticizing it all. My wife's an adamant sports person, and I'm not. Although I love my Minnesota Vikings, so they don't count. They're just awesome. And I would see 38 on the jerseys. 38 being called for a penalty. I'd be looking at cars, windows, decals that make no sense to have the number 38. Yet there they are, right there. Why? I don't know. So I grew up with this crazy suspicion something terrible was going to happen to me on my 38th birthday. And it was weird? Because it was yesterday. You're probably figuring out what day it is. And I hope you don't, but if you do, I can't really stop you at this point. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, you'll notice that my microphone, because I am unable to secure it properly, is slowly dipping down out of speaking range. Can get a nice microphone, but don't know what the hell I'm doing with it. Everybody else on YouTube has one. I want one. Anyway, out of nowhere yesterday, had a wonderful day. Wife got me awesome present that I wanted. Kids got me these little Maranito cookies from a Mexican bakery, which, oh my God, these are the best things, especially if you dip them in dip them in coffee. Nice hot black coffee. And you get them, even if they're a day stale, you just dip them in there. Oh my gosh. Anyway, end of the day, I was like, I want to go to bed early tonight because tomorrow's the day I want to record that podcast. I want to get a little early start on it. I don't want to get distracted. I want to do my responsibilities. Patrick Palooza. I got this terrifying feeling in me, like an anxiety attack. Now, I am prone to anxiety attacks. It's not the first, nor will it be the last. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had them. Go through the normal steps, breathing, and thinking about good things, and why am I freaking out, and confronting it, and praying about it, and doing all the good things you're supposed to do. I came off my medication for it, and maybe that's probably a big player for it. Don't do that. I don't recommend it unless you have doctor approval. I kind of had to because I realized that when I was on it, I had almost no emotions. The desire to do this, to do a podcast, was gone from me. I wanted nothing to do with it. But I remember this being one of my favorite things to do for no other reason than just doing it. So I had to admit something was wrong with the medication. So I do need to revisit that whole area of my life. But here's the point. Why was I afraid of that number? Why did it have such a control over me? Because I associated something bad with it. Missed opportunity. And I can tell you now, at this point in life, especially those of you gentlemen and ladies who are about to hit 40 as well, I'm sure associate something in your life with that same concept. Missed opportunity. Well, we never know what that missed opportunity is, do we? We just assume that somebody was driving around with $1 million, and if we had been standing out in front of our house at the right time, they're going to come and they're going to say, hey, I got this extra $1 million. Well, in the era of Mr. Beast, I'm not surprised. Not entirely wrong, because for those of us that are old enough to remember, that stuff doesn't happen. And for the times it does happen, and to people who actually need it, that's amazing to me. And I'm not trying to crap on anybody. I think that's awesome that he does that stuff, but it doesn't really happen to the common man. So anytime we see that trigger, not to make fun of people who are triggered, but I've grown up into learning that word. Please forgive me. These things don't just fall into your lap. They don't. And that's what I'm coming to realize now, is that missed opportunities are nothing more than my anxiety, my fear of something that I think should be a certain way, but was never that way to begin with. It's frustrating how much of my life and how many hours, days, months, weeks, years can be devoted to something that's detrimental to you, such as missed opportunities, this concept of missed opportunities. You are at where you're at right now because you were supposed to be there at this time. Who you were made to be made it so that you would achieve to where you are, at least right now. And who knows where you'll go from here. So the number 38 was a lie. It was a constant pressure to tell me you're missing out on something. You have talents, you have strengths, you have abilities, you have goals, and they're all gone now. They're not going to work for you anymore because you missed all the opportunities to do it. Well, then the heck with it. The heck with it. I won't care anymore. There is no point in spending your life upset due to this illusionary magic concept of a missed opportunity. You do something because you enjoy it, it helps people, or it's your responsibility. You're getting paid to do it. I ain't getting paid for this, folks, but I do enjoy it. Maybe someday. What does matter? What thoughts are you not thinking that could actually make your life happier and actually give you real opportunities? What are those thoughts? Hey, I love writing. I'm going to write. Hey, I love blabbing in front of a camera. I'm going to make a podcast. I'm going to go to YouTube and watch videos all day. Well, that might help. But what if it's about a video that teaches you how to do something that you truly enjoy? And then you get a little bit better at it every time. And maybe you don't ever go anywhere with it. Maybe you don't have millions of fans, and you don't have Patreon money coming out of your ears, and you don't have a full understanding of the know-how of all it works. But at the end of the day, are you not pursuing something that means something to you? Am I saying drop everything you're doing? Okay, I can't, forgive me, people out there that are out there saying, oh, you know what your job is? You need to quit your job and run to it and be in that job and give it full force. Yes, the passion of that is very inspiring. Wonderful. It's terrible advice. If you have a good paying job and it's supporting you and your family, the last thing you do is just quit it and run. Now, if you feel so convicted, I mean, man, go for it, I guess. But that must mean you have true things. But wisdom tells me you hold on to that boat until you get close enough to the shore to step off easily. I stole that from Dave Ramsey. Moderate yourself towards that journey, but go towards that journey. Don't miss a day where you can do something that could help put you to your goals. I want it to be, I love being an animator. But where the hell did that come from? Now you're talking about podcasting, and now you want to talk about the animations with the stick figures? Yes. Why do I like animating? I think it's funny. I like making characters say stuff that I think is silly and maybe make people think about some stuff. That's what this podcast is about too. Say things that are silly, make people think about stuff. And if I've achieved nothing else, at least I've said it. I've left a record of myself saying it. Is it important to you? Probably not. Does it matter? No. Should you do it? Yes, you should do it. Why aren't you doing things to prepare yourself for the things that you want to do? Fear? Missed opportunity? Oh no, if I start a podcast, I can't be an animator. If I'm an animator, I can't start a podcast. I mean, you don't think that went through my head? Well, the person who chases two hares often loses both. That's absolutely true. But, I think those of us that have gone into parenthood, and this is not to exclude people for not having kids. I think people who make fun of people for not having kids got a problem. There's a reason that they don't want to have a kid, and I respect that. I think it's a good thing. People are called not to have kids, right? So, in my opinion, one day you're an entertainer for a kid. The next day you're a healthcare specialist for the kid. Next day you're a mathematician for them to try to help them with their studies. Even if you're terrible at it, you learn very quickly, right? Nowadays people run to ChatGPT or they run to Google, which by the way, I love ChatGPT. It's funny as can be. I will say this. You can do multiple things. You've already been doing it. I have a brother he's two different people. And I even made a joke about it on a 9 a.m. episode, which is now at the Celtic Horn YouTube channel. He's one way from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day. That is work. Yes, his name's Johnny, but if you listen to anything on this channel or watch any of my stuff, that name's going to come up. And that the second it hits 5 o'clock, he's not Work Johnny anymore. He's this fun-loving, beer-slinging, enjoyable leader, friend who enjoys life. And he loves cats and he loves making food. Then the next day, 8 a.m., I guess I should say 9 a.m. because really it is more 9 a.m. He's back to work, Johnny, and he's on survival mode. Now look at that. He's one of the ones who's chosen not to have kids in his life, and that's wonderful. He's one person one time, he's one person another time. And does he doubt that he can do those things? No. He can shift gears if he has to. I think people who have what's called paralysis of opportunity, which is where paralysis of opportunity, it's because you say, I'm good at this, but if I'm going to be good at this, I can never get involved with this. Now, I'm not saying try to do 5 different things. Don't try to juggle 5 different plates. No. But why not do 2 until you figure out which one you like the best? And who knows, maybe in the process, you create a routine that allows you to do both comfortably. Maybe not all the time. Maybe not every single day. Learn about what batch recording is and learn about, what times do you actually have to yourself and take advantage of those times. But don't say, I can't do this because I want to do this. Say, try both. Like the old El Paso commercial. Why not both? Kid had a point. I know it's difficult to try to balance everything out. But I always have Patrick Palooza. It's almost like a reset. Here's my planning time. Here's the war room. Here's the plan. The rest of the year, I'm going to follow this plan. You do all the proper things. You discuss it with the wife. You make sure you actually have the time. And then if emergency comes up, well, recording a podcast is not going to take precedent over that. But you know that. The person you're with knows that. Your friends know that. Then they play game. Then they play ball. But if one day you throw a fit and I don't want to do this anymore, I want to go do something else and whatever. It doesn't come from anywhere. But if people see you doing calculated strikes of things that you want to do, they're not going to care. First off, it shouldn't matter. You shouldn't be trying to please anybody. You should be trying to pursue what makes you happy. Unless it's something, bad. Don't be doing drugs or getting drunk all the time and all that bad stuff. But I said all the time. Once in a while, it's not going to be too bad. St. Patrick's Day was wonderful. Anyway, pursue what you want little bits at a time. And you won't have that fear of missed opportunity because at the very least, if one day something changes, one thing can change. all of it's going to cascade back on it. And you're going to be so happy you had that experience to do it. You know? And even if it's not making you millions, what we associate happiness with millions, it doesn't work that way. Anybody, especially nowadays, I'm sure anybody can realize you can go broke like this. Is it scary? Yes, it's scary, but what are you going to say? I'm going to go broke having done nothing that I loved, or I'm going to go broke maybe by trying to manage my responsibilities, measuring them, seeing how they fit in my life. And if one of them doesn't fit, then obviously you scrape away. If I wasn't able to afford an income, there'd be no podcasting. There'd be no animating. It would be work nonstop. But I'm blessed enough to be able to have that time. And if I'm going to get that time, I'm going to use it. Oh, this fat guy on the internet's telling me what to do. It's another fat guy with a microphone that he probably stole. I didn't steal it. Telling people, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking you a question. Getting very animated about it. Ooh, it just came to me. The things that mean something to you, are you willing to fight for them? You have to ask yourself that question. A lot of you are going to say yes. Okay. Do it. Oh God, I don't see the Shia LaBeouf meme pop up, but that's going to happen at some point with that. And if it doesn't work out, then at least you did something that you love, that you're trying to do. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time. I really and truly appreciate you listening to this, hearing this, going to the YouTubes, pressing the subscribe buttons and all that fun stuff. If you like what I had to say, I'd like to say some more to you. So I would love for you to subscribe and like and all that fun stuff that the robots need in order for us to come together, in order for YouTube to identify what I look like and what flavor of pudding I like to feed my cat. I don't feed my cat pudding. You shouldn't feed a pudding, but they got these little yogurt things that are delicious. I guess they're like cheesy and anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. I am on Twitter @CelticHorn. Farewell.